Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how I made this procedural rust material. Alright, so I'm going to go over my settings real quick. I have my camera set to 1080 by 1080. And over here in render I have it set to cycles with the denoiser on. And I have this box checked for the transparent background because I'm using this HDRI Abandoned Garage from polyhaven.com for free. I'm going to Shift A and add an icosphere with 5 subdivisions. I'm going to shade it smooth. I'm going to add a new material. And Shift A and add a noise texture. And I'll be using the Node Wrangler add-on, so go up to Edit Preferences, Add-ons, and then just find the Node Wrangler. That way you can follow along. You need to click on your noise texture, Control-Shift-Click. It'll preview it on your material output. I'm going to change the scale to 30, the detail to 7, and the roughness all the way up to 1. And if you can Control T on the noise texture, it's going to add this texture coordinate mapping node. I'm just going to duplicate the mapping node. And the first two are going to be for the overall texture, and then this singular one will be for just this noise texture that I'm creating now. So that way you can move them individually, and I'll show you that in a little bit. I'm going to add a color ramp. I'm going to bring this slider over a little bit. I'm going to add a gamma node. And then I'm going to add a mix color. And you'll see the purpose of the gamma node here in a little bit. Just going to move these over a little. Alright. We want to plug the gamma node into the factor of the mix color. We're going to change these two colors. So the first one, I'm going to go with an orange color. If you want to use the exact same one, I'll put it up here on the screen. And for the second color, I'm going to go with a brownish color. And I'll put that up here as well. Alright. While I'm at it, I'm just going to increase the roughness on our principal BSDF to 1. And here's our material so far. It's getting there. Alright, I'm just going to box select all these and then Control J to join them and F2 to rename. I'm just going to call this Rust Mix 1. I'm going to join these two mapping nodes over here as well, just for some organization. Alright, so here's what the gamma node does. I'll show you right quick. When you change it, it changes the brightness of this color. And later on, you could use this to change the brightness of the orangey rust color when we put this in another mix color node. I'm going to come down here and add another layer of rust detail. So I'm going to Shift A and add another noise texture, another color ramp, another gamma node, and then another mixed color node. I'm going to add another mapping node here and plug that initial mapping node into the vector, and then plug that one into the vector of the noise texture. I'm just going to plug this all up real quick. And then the gamma node plugs into the factor of the mixed color. Control Shift click on the gamma node to preview the noise texture. I'm going to just adjust these sliders. I'm going to put this one about here. I'm just going to take this one and flip it all the way over to about there. And this is going to be where our reddish color is. I'm going to make a reddish color in this rust. I'm going to increase the roughness to 1. I'm going to increase the detail to 7 and leave the scale at 5. Then if we plug in our mix color, gamma node goes into the factor. And for this one, I'm going to make this egg color a reddish color. Here's the exact number. And then I'm going to change this top to add instead of mix. It just makes it a little bit brighter. I'm going to plug in the output of our first mix color into color B. And here's what we look like so far. You can see if we use mix, it's a little bit darker, and then this add just makes it a little bit brighter on the reddish color. And I like that a little better. You can see the gamma node taking effect now. That's why I put them in there, just for a little bit of customization. And you can also see, if I zoom in real quick, if we change this mapping node, it's only going to change this noise texture, and then same for this one up here. But if we change this one over here on the left that controls all, it's going to change the whole entire texture. That way it's just a little bit more customizable. I'm going to Control J to join these, and then F2 to rename them, and I'm just going to call this the Rust Red Mix. And bring this over, and then come down here, we're going to add our bump. I'm going to add a wave texture. I'm going to add a color ramp, and I'm going to add a bump node. Just going to plug these up, and the ramp goes into the height of the bump node. And then for this one, I'm just going to take the master placement mapping nodes and just stick that into the vector of the wave texture. I'm not going to give it its own mapping, but you can if you want. And so for this, if we Control-Shift-Click, we can preview this. And I'm just going to take these sliders here, play around with them a little bit. And go for about there. And over here on our wave texture, I'm going to increase the scale to 100. I'm going to increase the distortion to 15. I'm going to increase the detail to 5. I'm going to change it to saw. And then over here on the bump node, I'm going to change the strength to a 0.5 and the distance to a 0.5 as well. Here's what it looks like so far, and I'm just going to join these together and rename it. I'm just going to plug it up into the normal input of the principled BSDF and take this mix color and put it into the base color, and then plug this up into our material output. Now we can see our rust is giving a little bit of a bump, and it's looking a lot better. There's one more thing I'm going to do though. We're going to add some displacement to it. I'm going to come down here, Shift A, and add a wave texture. I'm going to add a color ramp, and I'm going to add a displacement node. Then we can just connect these together, and then the color ramp goes into the height of displacement. And then I'm going to put that mapping node over here into the vector. And you can also give it its own mapping if you want, so you can change the placement of the displacement itself. If we Control-Shift-Click on the color ramp, we can preview it. I'm going to change the scale to 20, the distortion to 20. And I went with a 5.6 on the detail scale. And for the detail, I went with a 15. And for phase off, I went with a 1.2. But you can just play around with those and find something you like. For strength of the displacement, I'm going to go with 0.005. Now we can see it on our texture. And here's what it looks like with just the black and white. So I'm going to drag this black value of our color ramp up a little bit. To about there. So now I'm just going to hook all these up and see how it looks. And here is the texture in the viewport. And I've also included some examples of the texture being used on some oil barrels, just to give you an idea of what it would look like on an actual model. And if I zoom in here, we can see some of the color variations of our rust texture. And you can see how it is flaky on the rust areas from our displacement and bump. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. And like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And I appreciate it.